massive snowstorms are targeting your neighborhood in the next 10 days. Over 47 million Americans are in the direct path of what could be the biggest winter assault in 5 years. And the most dangerous part? Most people have no idea it's coming. The question that should terrify you, is your city on the list? By the end of this emergency weather briefing, you'll know exactly when each storm hits, how many feet of snow could bury your street, and the one critical date that changes everything. And right now, at the 30-second mark, I'll reveal which major city could see 18 inches in just 24 hours. And at minute 5, the exact timeline for your region. Here's what the weather models are showing right now that has meteorologists in a panic. As promised, Minneapolis could face 18 to 22 inches by December 13th. That's enough to shut down an entire metropolitan area. But here's the twist. Minneapolis isn't even the worst-case scenario. Keep watching. An unprecedented weather pattern is forming over Canada. Cold air that should stay locked in the Arctic, it's breaking free. And when I say cold, I mean temperatures that could plunge to minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit across the upper Midwest by Monday morning. That's cold enough to cause frostbite in under 10 minutes of exposure. Your kids waiting for the school bus? That's a medical emergency waiting to happen if you're not prepared. The satellite images from the last 6 hours show something meteorologists call Alberta Clippers. These aren't your typical snowstorms. They're fast-moving Arctic freight trains that can dump 4 to 6 inches of snow in just 3 hours, then vanish, leaving chaos in their wake. And we're tracking not 1, not 2, but 4 of these systems in rapid succession. Question: have you ever seen 4 major snow events in a single 10-day period? Most Americans haven't. That's why this is classified as an extreme weather pattern. Let me show you what happened yesterday that proves this is already underway. Virginia woke up to their first snow of the season. Sounds innocent, right? Wrong. Look at these totals. Parts of West Virginia, 7 inches in 6 hours. Southern Kentucky, 5 inches. And this was just the warm-up act. Storm number 1 was a practice run for what's coming next week. Here's the critical data. The National Weather Service snow depth analysis shows a massive blanket of snow already covering 38% of the continental United States. That's 12 million square miles under white, and we're about to add another 15% in the next week alone. But you're probably wondering, what does this mean for me? Hold that thought. The best part is coming at 3 minutes and 20 seconds, where I reveal the city-by-city breakdown. First, you need to understand why this pattern is so dangerous. And it all comes down to 2 words that strike fear into every meteorologist's heart. Compound effect. When you get snow on top of snow on top of snow with no time to melt, that's when roofs collapse. That's when power lines snap under the weight. That's when elderly neighbors can't get their medications because roads are impassable for days. Insurance companies are already pre-positioning adjusters. Do you know what that means? They're expecting billions in claims. When was the last time they did that? Superstorm Sandy in 2012. The atmospheric setup is textbook perfect for prolonged winter warfare. A deep trough in the jet stream is acting like a highway, funneling Arctic air masses straight from northern Canada into the heart of America. And unlike typical patterns that last 2 to 3 days, this one is locked in place for at least 10 days, possibly 14. The European model, the most accurate long-range forecaster in the world, is showing something that only happens once every 5 to 7 years: persistent blocking. Translation: the storms can't escape. They're trapped in a meteorological prison, and they're going to pummel the same regions over and over again like a heavyweight boxer. At the 850 millibar level, that's about 5,000 feet above ground, temperatures are forecast to drop to minus 4 degrees Fahrenheit. For perspective, anything below 14 degrees at that altitude guarantees all snow. No mixing, no sleet, just pure, heavy, backbreaking snow. Question: how much snow can accumulate when temperatures are that cold? The answer will shock you. In conditions like these, snow ratios can reach 15 to 1 or even 20 to 1. That means 1 inch of liquid precipitation becomes 15 to 20 inches of snow. A moderate storm suddenly becomes catastrophic. A light dusting becomes a traffic nightmare. And here's the part that should make you stop everything and pay attention. We have moisture. Lots of it. The Great Lakes are still unfrozen, which means lake-effect snow machines are about to go into overdrive. The best part is at 3 minutes and 20 seconds, here's your city-by-city breakdown for storm number 1 hitting Monday, December 9th. Charlotte, North Carolina, 1 to 3 inches. Sounds minor? It'll shut down Interstate 85 and Interstate 77. Greensboro 3 to 5 inches. Expect school closures and accidents on every major highway. Roanoke, Virginia 5 to 8 inches. This will paralyze the city for 24 hours minimum. Charleston, West Virginia 7 to 11 inches. Power outages likely in rural areas. But don't miss this. Storm number 1 is just the appetizer. The main course arrives midweek. Storm number 2 develops over the Central Plains on Wednesday, December 11th. And this one has teeth. The GFS supercomputer is tracking a rapid intensification, pressure dropping 15 millibars in 12 hours. That's textbook bomb cyclone criteria, folks. Minneapolis, St. Paul, the models are converging on 12 to 18 inches over 36 hours. Madison, Wisconsin, 10 to 15 inches with winds gusting to 40 miles per hour. That's blizzard conditions. Chicago, 6 to 10 inches. But here's the kicker. It's happening during rush hour. Imagine 4 million people trying to get home in a whiteout. The last time this happened? February 2011. People were stranded on Lakeshore Drive for 12 hours. Cars abandoned. Hypothermia cases flooding hospitals. You do not want to repeat that nightmare. Detroit, 5 to 9 inches, then lake effect kicks in off Lake Huron, adding another 6 to 12. Grand Rapids, Michigan in the bullseye for 18 to 24 inches when you combine system snow plus lake effect. That's 2 feet of snow in less than 48 hours. Roads, impassable. Question: when's the last time you checked your snowblower? When's the last time you stocked up on rock salt? Because by Wednesday morning, store shelves will be empty. But here's the twist you weren't expecting. Storms number 1 and number 2 are just setting the stage. The real monster, storm number 3, is still organizing over Western Canada right now. And early indications suggest this could be the biggest snowmaker of the entire pattern. Why? Because it's going to have everything: Arctic cold, Gulf moisture, and perfect timing. The European ensemble, that's 51 different computer scenarios running simultaneously, shows 43 out of 51 members bringing a major snowstorm to the Interstate 95 corridor. That's 84% probability. In weather forecasting, anything over 70% is considered high confidence. We're at 84%. Let that sink in. Your odds of not getting hit? Just 16%. Here at Minute 5, as I promised, the exact timeline for your region. December 9th, Monday, storm number 1 hits the Carolinas and Virginia. Snow begins 6 a.m., peaks 2 to 6 p.m., ends by midnight. Morning commute, dangerous. Evening, treacherous. December 11th, storm number 2 slams the Midwest. Snow starts 3 a.m. in Minneapolis, reaches Chicago by 10 a.m., Detroit by 3 p.m. This is an all-day event with no breaks. December 13th to 14th, Friday, Saturday, storm number 3, the big one, targets the Northeast. Philadelphia, New York, Boston, you're all in the crosshairs. Timing, Friday evening through Saturday night. That's 30-plus hours of continuous snowfall. And it gets worse. The GFS model shows this storm stalling off the coast. You know what that means? It's going to sit there and dump like a fire hose pointed at the eastern seaboard. New York City, 8 to 14 inches currently forecast. But if the storm shifts 50 miles west, 18 to 24 inches is on the table. That's the difference between inconvenience and emergency. Boston, 10 to 16 inches with coastal flooding possible. Yes, you heard that right. Snow and flooding simultaneously. Because this storm could bring a coastal surge of 2 to 4 feet, Philadelphia, 6 to 12 inches, but the Interstate 95 corridor could see thunder snow. That's when lightning and thunder occur during heavy snow. It's rare, it's spectacular, and it means snowfall rates of 3 to 4 inches per hour. You can't even keep up with that. Washington, D.C., 4 to 8 inches. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's not that bad. Remember what happened in January 2016 when D.C. got 17 inches? The city was paralyzed for a week. The federal government shut down. Even half that amount will cause chaos. Baltimore, 5 to 10 inches. BWI Airport will likely shut down operations. If you have holiday travel plans that weekend, cancel them now, or prepare to sleep in the terminal. But here's the information that changes everything. We're tracking a fourth system. Storm number 4 is currently just a ripple in the jet stream over Alaska, but it's forecast to amplify and arrive December 16th to 17th. That's the week before Christmas. Question: are you starting to see the pattern? This isn't stopping. This is relentless. Storm after storm after storm, with barely 24 hours between each one. The National Weather Service is already issuing winter storm watches for areas 5 to 7 days out. That's unprecedented. They typically don't do that until 48 hours before. Translation, they're that confident this is going to be severe and widespread. Now let me show you something that will make your blood run cold, literally. The wind chill forecast for December 12th shows feels-like temperatures of -25 to -35 across the upper Midwest and northern plains. That's not just uncomfortable, that's life-threatening. Frostbite occurs in under 5 minutes at those temperatures. Hypothermia in under 10 minutes without proper clothing. If your car breaks down on a rural highway, you're in a survival situation. The American Automobile Association, ISB, AAA, is pre-deploying extra tow trucks and service vehicles. Last winter, they responded to 3.2 million roadside emergencies during major snow events. This year, they're expecting that number to double. Response times could stretch to 4 to 6 hours in hard-hit areas. 6 hours waiting in a disabled vehicle in sub-zero cold? But here's what really has emergency managers losing sleep: power outages. When you combine heavy wet snow, strong winds, and sub-zero temperatures, you get the perfect recipe for widespread grid failures. And in below-zero weather, a power outage isn't just inconvenient. It's a medical emergency for anyone on oxygen, dialysis, or who relies on electric heat. Utility companies are putting crews on 12-hour shifts starting this weekend. Line workers from as far away as Texas and Florida are being called up to assist. You know what that tells me? They're expecting massive damage. We're talking hundreds of thousands of customers, potentially without power for days, not hours. In the middle of winter, the snow weight projections are genuinely concerning. Wet, heavy snow can weigh 20 pounds per cubic foot. Do the math. A roof that's 40 feet by 60 feet with just 1 foot of wet snow? That's 48,000 pounds of additional weight. That's 24 tons sitting on top of your house. Older buildings, mobile homes, barns, they're at serious risk of collapse. Here's a critical question. When's the last time you had your roof inspected? Because insurance companies won't cover collapse if they can prove negligent maintenance. And with this much snow on the way, they're going to be looking for any reason to deny claims. The economic impact is already being calculated. Retail sales during these 10 days could drop by 30 to 40% as people stay home. That's billions in lost revenue during the most critical shopping period of the year. Small businesses, especially restaurants and shops, could see devastating losses. Some may not recover. This isn't just weather, it's economic warfare. Flight cancellations are already being pre-scheduled. Airlines are waiving change fees for travel between December 9th and 17th. That should tell you something. When was the last time airlines volunteered to waive fees? They know what's coming. They're expecting thousands of cancellations. O'Hare, LaGuardia, Newark, Logan, all the major hubs could shut down completely for 12 to 24 hours at a time. If you're traveling, have a backup plan. And a backup for your backup, because this is going to create a cascading failure across the entire system. Now here's the part that really concerns me as a meteorologist. The long-range models are showing no break in the pattern through Christmas. None. That means we could be looking at 5 or even 6 major snow events in a 3-week period. That's unprecedented in the modern era. Not since the winter of 1977 to 78 have we seen this kind of sustained assault. Question: what does this mean for grocery stores? For emergency services? For your ability to live your normal life? It means disruption on a scale most Americans under 60 years old have never experienced. This is old-school winter making a brutal comeback. The snowfall accumulation forecast through December 17th is staggering. Let me give you the numbers that matter. Northern Michigan, 40 to 60 inches total. That's 5 feet of snow in 10 days. Central Wisconsin, 30 to 45 inches. Minneapolis Metro, 25 to 35 inches. Interior Pennsylvania, 20 to 30 inches. Boston suburbs, 18 to 28 inches. These aren't seasonal totals, folks. This is 10 days. Some places will get their entire winter's worth of snow in a week and a half. Infrastructure isn't designed to handle that. Snow removal budgets will be exhausted by mid-month. Where do they dump it all? What happens when there's literally no place left to push the snow? Roads get narrower, intersections become blind corners, accidents multiply, the entire system breaks down. And here's the really scary part, the part I debated even mentioning. There's a non-zero chance that storm number 3 could undergo what's called explosive cyclogenesis off the mid-Atlantic coast. That's when a storm intensifies so rapidly that it creates its own weather hell. Hurricane-force winds, blizzard conditions, thunder and lightning, snowfall rates of 4 to 6 inches per hour, the kind of storm that gets a name and enters the history books. The European model has a 30% chance of this scenario. That might not sound high, but in meteorology, a 30% chance of something catastrophic, we take that very seriously. It's like Russian roulette with 2 bullets in the chamber. Now let me tell you what you need to do in the next 48 hours. Not next week, not when you get around to it, right now. Because once storm number 1 hits Monday, it's too late. Step 1. Water. Store at least 3 gallons per person. Frozen pipes are going to be epidemic with these temperatures. When the grid fails and you have no heat, pipes freeze and burst. Step 2. Food. Non-perishable items for 14 days minimum. Not 3 days. Not a week. 2 weeks. Because if we get hit by multiple storms, you might not be able to leave your house for days. Step 3. Medications. If you or a loved one takes prescription meds, get them refilled now. Pharmacies will be closed. Roads impassable. You don't want to run out of heart medication or insulin during a blizzard. That's how people die. It happens every single major storm. Step 4. Heat backup. If you have a fireplace, stock up on firewood now. If you have a generator, test it today and get extra fuel. Carbon monoxide detectors, make sure they work. Because when the power goes out and temps drop to 0, people do desperate things. They run generators indoors, they use gas ovens for heat, and they die from carbon monoxide poisoning. Step 5. Communication. Charge all your devices. Get battery packs. Have a weather radio. Cell towers lose power too. I've seen it happen. Entire regions go dark communication-wise. You need to be able to receive emergency alerts and contact help if needed. Don't assume your phone will work. Step 6. Vehicle prep. Full tank of gas. Winter emergency kit in the trunk. Blankets, flashlight, food, water, first aid, sand, or kitty litter for traction. If you get stranded, these items are the difference between discomfort and death. I'm not being dramatic. People freeze to death in their cars every winter. Don't be a statistic, especially with wind chills forecast to hit -30 to -40. At those temps, you have minutes before severe frostbite sets in. But here's what nobody's talking about yet. The secondary effects. Schools will close, not for a day, for multiple days. That means working parents scrambling for childcare. That means kids home alone while parents try to navigate treacherous commutes. That means stress, anxiety, and difficult decisions. Do you risk driving to work? Do you miss paychecks? Hospitals will go on diversion status. That means if you have a heart attack or stroke, ambulances might have to take you to a facility 30 or 40 miles away because closer hospitals are overwhelmed or can't be reached. Response times for fire, police, EMS. They all triple or quadruple during major snow events. The help you need might not arrive for an hour. Nursing homes and assisted living facilities? These are my biggest concern. Many are understaffed already. During a multi-day blizzard, staff can't get there. Can't relieve the overnight crew, medications run low, food supplies dwindle. If you have elderly parents or relatives in a facility, call them today. Ask about their emergency plans. Ask about generator backup. Ask about staffing contingencies. Because if the answer isn't satisfactory, you need to make other arrangements now while you still can. Question: what about pets? Livestock? Farmers are already moving cattle to sheltered areas, bringing in extra feed, because they know what's coming. If you have outdoor animals, they need shelter, unfrozen water, and extra calories to maintain body heat. At -20 wind chill, animals can freeze to death in hours without proper protection. And if you're thinking, I'll just deal with it when it happens, wrong. Store shelves are going to be picked clean by Sunday night. I've watched it happen dozens of times. The bread aisle? Empty. Milk? Gone. Batteries? Sold out. Snow shovels? Good luck finding one by Monday morning. Rock salt and ice melt? Forget about it. The smart people are shopping right now while reading this. The unprepared will be fighting over the last bag of salt on Monday afternoon while 3 inches is already on the ground. Don't be that person. Now here's something fascinating from a meteorological standpoint. This pattern is being driven by something called a negative NAO. That's the North Atlantic Oscillation. When it goes negative, it blocks the normal west-to-east flow of storms and redirects Arctic air straight south into North America. In the current NAO index, it's -2.5. That's as negative as we've seen in 7 years, and it's forecast to stay negative through December 20th. Translation: this cold isn't going anywhere. Neither are the storms. The Pacific jet stream is also playing a role. It's positioned perfectly to inject moisture into these Arctic air masses. That's the fuel for heavy snow. Without moisture, you just get cold. With moisture, you get buried, and we've got moisture in abundance. Precipitable water values, that's the amount of moisture in the atmosphere, are forecast to reach 0.8 to 1.2 inches during storm number 3. For December, that's exceptionally high. It's July-level moisture in December-level cold. The result? Snowfall rates that are simply overwhelming. Plows can't keep up. Visibility drops to 0. Highway pileups become inevitable. Speaking of highways, let me give you the most dangerous travel corridors over the next 10 days. Interstate 90 from Chicago to Boston, this entire stretch will be a disaster zone at various points. Interstate 94 through Wisconsin and Minnesota, absolutely treacherous. Interstate 95 from Virginia to Maine, expect multiple closures and delays. Interstate 80 across Pennsylvania and Ohio, jackknife trucks will shut down entire sections. If you have travel plans using any of these routes between December 9th and 17th, seriously reconsider. Is that trip worth your life? The National Guard has been put on standby in 6 states. You know what that means? State Emergency Management expects to need military assistance. For what? Rescuing stranded motorists, delivering medical supplies, evacuating nursing homes, opening emergency shelters. When the National Guard gets activated for weather, it's serious. This isn't a drill. They're preparing for mass casualty incidents, for infrastructure collapse, for crisis, and they're doing it because the computer models are all showing the same thing, extreme conditions. Question: have you checked your homeowner's insurance policy lately? Does it cover pipe bursts, roof collapse, food loss from power outages? Because you're about to find out the hard way if you haven't. Claims adjusters are going to be swamped. It could take weeks to even get an inspector to your house, months to get repairs done. Everyone's going to need the same contractors at the same time. Prices will skyrocket. A $500 repair becomes $2,000. Now let me show you something that will help you understand the scope of what's coming. The Weather Prediction Center, the nation's premier forecasting agency, has issued snowfall forecasts extending out 7 days. They never do that unless confidence is extremely high. Their 7-day accumulated snowfall map shows over 100 million Americans receiving measurable snow, 47 million receiving 6 inches or more, 12 million receiving a foot or more. These aren't guesses. This is based on supercomputer consensus across multiple models. The science is clear. The only question is exactly where the heaviest bands set up. Shift them 30 miles and you're the difference between 8 inches and 18 inches. But someone's getting hammered. Here's the brutal reality that emergency managers deal with. You can't save everyone. During extreme weather, resources are finite. Plows, salt, rescue personnel. There's only so much to go around. Priority goes to hospitals, fire stations, main arterials. Your residential street, it might not see a plow for 48 to 72 hours after snow stops. That's normal during major events. You are on your own. Period. Accept it and prepare accordingly. The psychological impact of being snowbound for days shouldn't be underestimated either. Cabin fever is real, especially for older adults living alone. Depression and anxiety spike during extended winter storms. Check on your neighbors. Make phone calls. Isolation combined with extreme weather is a dangerous combination. Mental health is as important as physical safety. Now, I want to address something that always comes up. Why should I trust this forecast when meteorologists are wrong all the time? Fair question. Here's the answer. Modern weather forecasting is incredibly accurate 3 to 5 days out. 7-day forecasts are right about 80% of the time. When you see model consensus, CNSB, multiple independent computers all showing the same general pattern, confidence goes even higher. We might be off on exact snowfall amounts by a few inches or timing by a few hours, but the overall pattern, it's going to happen. Cold, snow, impacts, that's locked in. The specifics are what we're still fine-tuning. The European model has been the gold standard for winter storm forecasting for years. Its track record speaks for itself. When it shows high probability of significant snow 7 days out, pay attention. This isn't crying wolf. This is the most sophisticated atmospheric modeling on Earth telling us to get ready. And we should listen. History shows that ignoring these warnings costs lives and money every single time. The people who prepare early and thoroughly, they weather the storm with minimal disruption. The ones who wait until the last minute, they're scrambling, stressed, and sometimes end up in real danger. Let me give you one more critical piece of information. The Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10-day outlook shows below normal temperatures persisting across 70% of the lower 48 states through December 20th. That means even after these storms pass, it stays cold. The snow isn't melting, It's accumulating, building, creating hazards that last for weeks, ice dams on roofs, black ice on roads, frozen ground preventing proper drainage. One storm is manageable. 4 or 5 in rapid succession with no warm-up, that's when systems collapse. Question: when was the last time you experienced a real winter? Not the mild winters we've had recently, but an old-school winter with week after week of snow and cold. If you're under 40, you probably haven't. This is going to be an education, and possibly a rude awakening. Here's what the data is telling us about storm number 3 specifically, the one that could be historic. It's forecast to have a central pressure of 970 millibars or lower. For reference, Hurricane Sandy at landfall was 940 millibars. This won't be quite that intense, but 970 is strong for a winter storm. Winds could gust to 60 to 70 miles per hour along the coast. That's tropical storm force. Combined with heavy snow, whiteout conditions, zero visibility, cars buried in drifts, roads completely impassable. The kind of storm where state police literally close all highways and tell people to shelter in place. If you're caught out in that, you could die. I'm not exaggerating. This has the potential to be a killer storm if it develops as forecast. The European ensemble members are clustering around Friday night into Saturday for the peak of storm number 3. That's December 13th to 14th. Mark those dates. Clear your calendar, stock your fridge, fill your gas tank, charge your devices, because if the models are right, you're going to be home for 24 to 36 hours minimum, maybe longer, and that's if you're lucky enough to have power. If the grid fails in your area, you could be looking at days without electricity in sub-zero temperatures. That's a survival situation, not an inconvenience. Now let me address the elephant in the room: climate change. Yes, winters are generally getting warmer on average, but that doesn't mean extreme cold and snow events disappear. In fact, some research suggests a warming Arctic can actually increase the frequency of extreme winter outbreaks in mid-latitudes. The polar vortex becomes more unstable and wobbles south more often. So, we get fewer winter storms overall, but the ones we do get can be more intense. More moisture in a warmer atmosphere means heavier snowfall rates when conditions align. This pattern we're seeing? It's consistent with what climate models predict. Here's a sobering thought. According to FEMA, only 39% of Americans have emergency supplies sufficient for 72 hours. That means 61% of people watching this right now are not prepared for what's coming. You're in the majority if you haven't prepared. But you don't have to stay in the majority. You have time right now to fix that. The question is, will you? Or will you wait until Monday when everyone else is panic buying and shelves are empty? The good news, yes, there is good news, is that we have advance warning. In the past, storms like this would catch people completely off guard. Now we can see them coming a week out. That's a huge advantage. Use it. Don't squander this gift of time. Future you will thank present you for being smart and proactive. Or future you will curse present you for being lazy and unprepared. The choice is yours, but you have to make it now, not tomorrow, today. Let me walk you through one more scenario that keeps me up at night. What if storm number 3 tracks 50 miles further west than currently forecast? That would put the heaviest snow band right over the Interstate 95 corridor. We're talking about 20 to 30 inches from Richmond to New York City. That would paralyze the entire eastern seaboard. The economic capital of America shut down for potentially a week. Stock markets closed. Federal government closed. Billions in lost productivity. Is that the most likely scenario? No. The odds are probably 20 to 25%. But a 1 in 4 chance of something catastrophic? That's high enough to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Because if it does happen, being unprepared could be deadly. The flip side scenario: what if storms track further north and the Interstate 95 corridor gets mostly rain? Then interior areas get destroyed. Upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, we're talking 30 to 50 inches. Rural communities cut off completely. No power for a week or more. Propane deliveries can't get through. People running out of heating fuel in sub-zero cold. This scenario is equally concerning. Just affects different areas. The bottom line? Someone is getting hammered. The only question is exactly who and exactly how much. Question: do you have a battery-powered or hand-crank weather radio? If not, get one. When the power's out and your phone's dead, how are you receiving emergency information? Local officials might be ordering evacuations or opening warming centers, and you'd have no way to know. A $30 weather radio could literally save your life. It's one of the most overlooked but critical pieces of emergency equipment. NOAA. Weather radio broadcasts 24/7 and automatically alerts for watches, warnings, and emergencies. Invest in one today. Now I want to talk about something most people don't think about. What happens after the storms? The recovery phase. Mountains of snow need to be removed, downed trees cleared, power lines repaired, pipes thawed, roofs shoveled. This isn't a one-day cleanup job. We're talking weeks of recovery work. And there simply aren't enough contractors to handle demand when entire regions get hit simultaneously. If you need a plumber, a roofer, an electrician after these storms, get in line. It could take a month to get someone to your house. That's why prevention is so critical. Prevent pipes from freezing now by insulating them. Clear your roof now before snow accumulates. Fix that leaky window now before cold air pours in. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure has never been more true. The stress on emergency services during this 10-day period is going to be immense. Paramedics responding to heart attacks and strokes caused by snow shoveling. Firefighters dealing with house fires from space heaters and fireplaces. Police investigating accidents and rescuing stranded motorists. These brave men and women will be working 16-hour shifts in brutal conditions, trying to keep us safe. The least we can do is not add to their burden by being stupid. Don't drive if you don't have to. Don't overexert yourself shoveling. Don't use your gas grill indoors. Don't be the person who causes a preventable emergency. First responders are going to have their hands full with unavoidable crises. Let's not make their jobs harder. Here's a critical tip for homeowners. Know where your main water shutoff valve is. If pipes burst, and they will burst in thousands of homes during this cold snap, you need to shut off water immediately to prevent catastrophic flooding. Burst pipes can dump hundreds of gallons per hour into your home. That's total destruction of floors, walls, furniture, everything. But if you can shut off the main within minutes, you limit the damage dramatically. Go find that valve right now. Make sure it works. Make sure everyone in your household knows where it is. Tag it with bright tape so it's easy to find in an emergency. This one simple action could save you tens of thousands of dollars in water damage. For businesses, your employees' safety comes first. If weather conditions are dangerous, let people work from home or just close for the day. No sale, no meeting, no deadline is worth someone's life. We see it every major storm. Some employer pressures workers to come in during dangerous conditions, and someone gets killed in an accident. Don't let that be on your conscience. Give your people permission to stay home and stay safe. The work will still be there tomorrow, but if someone dies trying to get there, that's permanent. Schools will almost certainly close Monday in the Carolinas and Virginia, Wednesday and Thursday in the Midwest, Friday and possibly Monday the 16th in the Northeast. If you're a parent, plan now for childcare. If you're a teacher, get assignments ready for remote learning. If you're a student, enjoy the snow days, but please be safe. Every winter, we lose young people to sledding accidents, thin ice, hypothermia. Have fun, but use your head. No amount of fun is worth dying for. And parents, know where your kids are and what they're doing. Teen boys especially tend to do dumb things in snow. Keep them supervised and safe. Here's something that affects everyone: grocery delivery and food supply chains. Trucks can't deliver when roads are impassable. Warehouses shut down when workers can't get there. Store shelves that normally get restocked daily might not see a delivery for 3 or 4 days during heavy snow. And when deliveries do resume, everyone's buying at once. It takes weeks for supply chains to normalize after major winter storms. That's why stocking up now is so important. Not panic buying, strategic preparation. Buy what you actually need for 2 weeks. Don't hoard, don't take more than your fair share, but do make sure you have enough. Question: do you have a plan if you lose heat? Where will you and your family stay? Do you have relatives or friends outside the affected area? Hotels will fill up fast once power starts failing. Make those arrangements now while rooms are available. Or identify a local warming center, usually schools, community centers, or churches. Know where they are, know their hours, know how to get there. Because if you're sitting in a 40-degree house with no heat and it's 0 outside, you need options. Hypothermia can set in within hours in those conditions, especially for the elderly and very young. Have a plan B and a plan C. The mental toll of extended winter storms shouldn't be underestimated. Seasonal affective disorder is real. Being cooped up inside for days with no sun, no social interaction, no routine, it affects mental health. Check in on people, make phone calls, send texts, video chat with family. Maintain human connection even when physically isolated. Depression and anxiety spike during prolonged winter events. If you start feeling hopeless or overwhelmed, reach out. Call a crisis hotline, text a friend, talk to your doctor. Your mental health matters just as much as your physical safety. Don't suffer in silence. Help is available. Now let me give you the forecast for the week after December 17th, because it's not pretty. Long-range models show the pattern continuing. More Alberta Clippers, more cold, more snow. The week of December 18th to 25th looks active for winter weather. That's Christmas week. If you have holiday travel plans, you need to be flexible, have backup dates, be prepared to cancel. Buy travel insurance if you haven't already. Because Mother Nature doesn't care about your Christmas dinner reservations or your flight to see Grandma. This pattern is locked in through at least December 20th, possibly longer. We could be looking at 2 to 3 weeks of persistent winter weather. Old-timers call it getting our teeth kicked in by winter. And they're right. This is going to be brutal. But we can handle it if we prepare. The silver lining? Great skiing and snowboarding conditions. If you love winter sports, this is your moment. Resorts are going to have epic powder. Just getting to the resort might be challenging, but once you're there, heaven. And for kids, snow days, sledding, snowmen, hot chocolate. There are positives to embrace. Winter can be beautiful and magical when you're prepared and safe. It's only miserable when you're caught off guard. So let's choose to be ready. Let's choose to be smart. Let's choose to thrive during this pattern instead of just surviving it. It's all about mindset and preparation. Before we wrap up, let me give you the critical dates one more time. Burn these into your memory. Monday, December 9th, storm number 1 hits Carolinas and Virginia. Be ready by Sunday night. Wednesday, December 11th, storm number 2 slams Midwest. All prep should be complete by Tuesday evening. Friday, Saturday, December 13th to 14th, storm number 3, potentially the biggest targets Northeast. This is the one to watch. Everything must be ready by Thursday night. Miss these windows and you're scrambling in deteriorating conditions. Don't let that happen. You have advance notice. Use it. The biggest mistake people make? Waiting until they see snow falling to start preparing. By then, it's too late. Stores are mobbed or closed. Roads are getting bad. You're behind the curve. The smart move is preparing before the first flake falls. That's what we're doing right now, getting ahead of this while we still can. Because once it starts, it's going to be one thing after another for 10 straight days. Question: what's your biggest concern about these storms? For most people, it's one of 3 things: losing power, being stuck at home, or travel disruption. All 3 are likely to happen to someone. The question is, will you be affected? And if so, will you be ready? That's entirely up to choices you make in the next 48 hours. Choose wisely. I want to emphasize one more time. This information isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to prepare you. Knowledge is power. Knowing what's coming allows you to take action. Ignorance leads to panic and poor decisions. You're watching this, which means you're already ahead of 90% of people who have no idea this is coming. Share this information with friends, family, neighbors, especially elderly neighbors who might not be online. Help them prepare. Check on them during the storms. We're all in this together. Community resilience matters. When everyone looks out for each other, we all make it through better. The historical context is important too. We haven't seen a pattern this aggressive since the winter of 2013 to 14. Remember that? The polar vortex winter? Weeks of sub-zero cold, multiple major snowstorms, natural gas shortages because demand was so high? This could rival or even exceed that winter in terms of impacts. And we're going into it with infrastructure that's 11 years older and not necessarily better maintained. That's a recipe for more failures, not fewer. Power grids, water systems, roads, bridges, they've all aged. They're more vulnerable now than they were then. Keep that in mind when calculating your risk. Don't assume everything will hold up just because it did in the past. For those of you in the Sun Belt watching this and thinking, glad that's not my problem, think again. This weather pattern affects you too. Heating fuel prices are going to spike as demand surges. Natural gas, propane, heating oil, all will cost more because of this cold outbreak. Food prices will rise as supply chains get disrupted. Some items might be temporarily unavailable if they're shipped from affected areas. The national economy takes a hit when a third of the country shuts down for weather. Stock markets react. Your 401k might take a dip. This is a national event with nationwide implications, even if your backyard stays snow-free. We're all connected. What affects one region ripples everywhere. Now let's talk about what happens if you ignore this warning. If you do nothing and just hope for the best. Best case scenario? You get lucky and your area doesn't get hit as hard as forecast. You wasted a little time and money preparing. That's it. Worst case? You're stuck at home for days with no food, no heat, no water. Your pipes burst, causing thousands in damage. You run out of medication. Someone gets hurt and help can't arrive for hours. Is that a risk you're willing to take? Because those are the real consequences of being unprepared. I've seen it happen. I've watched people suffer because they didn't take warnings seriously. Don't be that person. The cost of preparation is minimal compared to the cost of being caught unprepared. We're talking a few $100s and a few hours of your time versus potentially thousands in damage and genuine safety risks. It's not even close. Let me paint you a picture of what Monday morning could look like if you're not ready. You wake up to 4 inches on the ground and it's still snowing heavily. You need to get to work, but your car is buried. You don't have a snow brush or scraper. You spend 20 minutes clearing it with your bare hands, getting soaked and frozen. Your driveway hasn't been shoveled because you don't have a shovel. You try to drive out anyway and get stuck. Now you're late, stressed, cold, wet, and stranded. You call AAA, wait time is 4 hours. Meanwhile, it's still snowing and your car is getting more buried by the minute. That's a nightmare scenario, but it's reality for thousands of unprepared people every major snow event. Don't let it be you. Spend $50 on a shovel, ice scraper, and bag of salt today. Here's your final action checklist, and I mean final. Do these things this weekend or it's too late. 1. Water storage. 3 gallons per person minimum. 2. Food. 2 weeks of non-perishables. 3. Medications refilled. 4. Heat backup plan. 5. Vehicle winterized. 6. Communication devices charged. 7. Emergency supplies gathered. 8. Important documents in waterproof container. 9. Cash on hand in case ATMs don't work. 10. Family emergency plan discussed and agreed upon. That's it. 10 things. You can knock this out in 3 to 4 hours if you focus. Or you can procrastinate and regret it when you're sitting in the dark on Wednesday with no heat, wishing you'd listened. Question. What would you tell yourself if you could send a message back from a week in the future after living through these storms? I guarantee it would be, I wish I'd prepared better. Nobody ever says, I wish I'd prepared less. Preparation is never wasted. Even if the forecast busts and you don't get hit, you're ready for the next event, and there will be a next event. This is winter. Storms happen. Being prepared is just smart living. Now here's what I'm tracking for the pattern beyond December 17th, and this is where it gets really interesting. Early indications suggest the cold and active pattern could persist through Christmas and possibly into early January. We might be looking at 3 to 4 weeks of old-school winter. This could be the winter that people talk about for years. You remember the winter of 2024 to 25? Man, that was brutal. It has that potential. The atmospheric setup is that favorable for sustained cold and snow. I'll be tracking this closely and providing updates as we go. Which brings me to my final point for today. Tomorrow, I'll be back with a detailed breakdown of storm number 1 as it develops. I'll have high-resolution models showing exactly when snow starts and stops in your city. Hour-by-hour timing, street-level impacts, school closure predictions, the works. And I'll reveal which neighborhoods could see double the snow of others due to elevation and terrain effects. Then on Wednesday, I'll have the critical update on storm number 3, the potential historic northeast blizzard. Track shifts, intensity changes, snowfall maps, everything you need to make final preparations. You do not want to miss these updates. They could literally save your life or prevent thousands in property damage. Make sure you're following along and have notifications turned on so you don't miss a single update. This is a rapidly evolving situation and timing is everything. A 12-hour shift in storm track could mean the difference between 6 inches and 18 inches for your location. You need the latest information to make the best decisions. I'll be your source for that. No hype, no clickbait, just straight meteorological analysis and actionable advice. Before I let you go, please share this information. Send it to everyone you know in the affected regions. Post it on social media. Email it to your elderly relatives who might not be getting this information elsewhere. This is critical safety information that could prevent injuries and save lives. The more people who see this and prepare accordingly, the fewer emergencies we'll have, the fewer rescues needed, the fewer tragedies. You can literally help save lives just by sharing. Please do it. Make a difference. One last thing. If you found this briefing helpful, let me know in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from and how you're preparing. I read every comment and love hearing from viewers. And if you have questions about your specific location or situation, drop them below. I'll do my best to respond to as many as possible. We're all in this together, and I'm here to help however I can. Stay safe out there, folks. Stay warm. Stay prepared. And remember, this isn't about fear. It's about respect. Respecting the power of winter weather and responding appropriately. Mother Nature is about to remind us who's really in charge. But if we're smart, if we're prepared, if we help each other, we'll get through this just fine. I'll see you tomorrow with the storm #1 detailed forecast. Until then, get ready. Time's running out.